My wife destroyed my family for a dead liar then. We all woke up at 17. My wife was one of London's most celebrated surgeons. She used my father's operation to destroy him, manipulated my grieving mother into a fatal breakdown, and locked me beneath our holiday home all to avenge my adopted cousin. Then we died in a crash. When I opened my eyes, I was 17 again. My parents were alive. My cousin was sitting at our breakfast table, and my future wife was waiting outside our school gate already searching for him. This time, I did not try to save her. I saved myself, the wife who married me for revenge. 3 years after marrying Dr. Claire Whitmore, I learned that every kiss, every anniversary and every whispered promise had been part of a plan. Claire had never married me because she loved me. She married me because my surname opened the door to my family. And once she was inside, she destroyed everyone carrying it. My name is Ethan Ward. My father, Professor Henry Ward, was a respected cardiac surgeon who had spent more than 30 years saving lives across Britain. My mother, Victoria, was a senior executive at an international pharmaceutical company. We were not royalty. We were not famous. But we were fortunate. My parents loved each other, loved their work and loved me with the quiet consistency of people who believed family should feel safe. They also loved Oliver. Oliver Ward was my older cousin by 2 months. His parents died in an accident when we were young, and my parents brought him into our home. He received his own bedroom, the same private school education, the same holidays and the same academic support I received. My father introduced him as his second son. My mother never allowed anyone to call him a guest, yet Oliver spent years quietly convincing people that he was unwanted. He never accused my parents directly. That would have required evidence. Instead, he sighed at family photographs. He grew silent whenever anyone praised me. He looked at my belongings as though every object represented something taken from him. If my mother cooked my favorite meal, Oliver would smile and say he was not hungry. If my father celebrated my grades, Oliver would quietly leave the room. People filled the silence for him. Poor Oliver, always second, always watching another boy receive the life that should have been his. The story was false, but Oliver understood something dangerous very early. A carefully performed sadness could be more persuasive than the truth. At 19, after failing his university entrance examinations for the second time, Oliver died. Before his death, he sent 3 journals to Claire. In them, he described our family as a private prison. My father became a controlling guardian. My mother became a woman who fed him only when guests were present. I became the cruel biological son who stole his clothes, sabotaged his studies, and threatened him. Whenever he spoke to Claire, none of it happened. Claire never asked us. She never compared Oliver's claims with school records, family photographs, bank statements, or the testimony of the people who had lived around us. She read the journals after his death. Guilt did the rest. Oliver had loved her silently 4 years. Claire had barely noticed him. Once he was dead, he became perfect. A dead man never arrived late, never disappointed her, never contradicted his own story, never forced her to confront the ordinary flaws that make real people difficult to worship. Claire transformed him into a martyr. Then she decided the Ward family had killed him. Years later, she married me to punish us. My father trusted Claire more than almost any young doctor he had trained. He recommended her for fellowships, defended her when senior consultants dismissed her as inexperienced, invited her to family dinners. When his heart condition required surgery, he specifically asked for Claire to join the medical team. The procedure was considered manageable. He never came home. Claire emerged from the operating theatre with trembling hands. I did everything I could, she whispered. My mother held her while she cried. I stood beside them, grieving my father and comforting the person who had secretly engineered his death. Weeks later, my mother's mental health collapsed. Claire insisted I continue preparing for an important professional examination. I'll stay with Victoria, she said. She shouldn't be alone. I thanked her. My mother trusted Claire as a daughter. Claire used that trust to isolate her, interfere with her treatment, and convince her that both her husband and son had died because she had failed them. My mother did not survive the breakdown. Within 1 month, I lost both parents. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped answering calls. Claire took compassionate leave from the hospital and told everyone she was bringing me to our coastal home to recover. When I woke inside that house, my wrists were restrained and the basement door was locked. For 7 days, Claire demanded that I confess. Tell me what you did to Oliver. Nothing. Tell me how your father punished him. He didn't. Tell me why your mother starved him. She never did. Claire's expression would change whenever I denied her story. Not because she discovered evidence against me, because every denial threatened the sacred tragedy she had built around Oliver. On the 7th night, she entered wearing the same white coat she wore at the hospital. For the public, Dr. Claire Whitmore represented discipline, intelligence and compassion. In that basement, her smile was almost peaceful. Do you feel trapped, Ethan? I looked at her through swollen eyes. Is that what you wanted? Oliver felt this way for 13 years. My parents raised him. They displayed him as proof of their generosity. They loved him. They loved being praised for rescuing him. That's what his journal said. Claire's gaze sharpened. He wrote everything. He wrote a story. He wrote the truth. He wrote the version that would make you love him. After he was gone, Claire struck the table between us. Do not insult him. The sound echoed through the room. That was the moment I finally understood. Claire's revenge had never truly been about justice. Justice requires facts. She wanted absolution. She had ignored Oliver when he was alive. By punishing us after his death, she could convince herself that she had finally chosen him. What happens if you discover he lied? I asked. He didn't. What happens if he manipulated you? He would never do that. You barely knew him. He knew me. No, Claire. He studied you. She stepped closer. He said you were the person he hated most. Then why am I still alive? Her hand touched my face. The gesture might once have seemed tender. I want you to live long enough to understand what he endured. I looked at the woman I had loved. You killed my father with the skills he taught. You. Her hand trembled. You destroyed my mother after she comforted you. Claire moved back. And you still believe you're the hero? For 1 second, doubt appeared in her eyes. Then it disappeared. I escaped during a storm. 3 nights later, I reached the garage, found the spare key to an old car and drove toward the main road. Claire followed. Rain covered the windscreen. Her headlights remained behind me through every turn. I remember a junction, a horn, metal twisting, then darkness, before I lost consciousness. Man's voice whispered near my ear. Someone paid dearly for all 3 of you to begin again. Breakfast with the dead. My mother's voice woke me. Ethan Ward, if you miss the bus again, I'm not writing another excuse. I opened my eyes. Football posters covered the walls. University brochures lay across my childhood desk. The digital clock showed a date 15 years in the past. I ran downstairs. My father sat at the kitchen table, reading medical notes with one hand and holding coffee in the other. My mother was packing bread, eggs and fruit into a lunch bag. Oliver sat opposite them in our school uniform. All 3 were alive. I crossed the room and wrapped my arms around my mother. She nearly dropped the bag. What on earth is wrong with you? I could not answer. I released her and held my father next. His coffee spilled onto the table. Careful, I'm sorry. He studied my face. Did something happen? I had a nightmare. You're crying over a nightmare. It felt real. My father placed a hand behind my head. Then be grateful you woke up. Across the table, Oliver watched me. He did not look confused. His expression was too controlled, too alert. He remembered. I knew it before he spoke. My mother handed me the lunch bag. You refuse to get out of bed, so you can eat this on the way. Oliver's plate was empty. He had already finished breakfast. My father drove us to school. Neither Oliver nor I said a word. At the front gate, a girl in a prefect's uniform was recording the names of late students. Claire Whitmore, 17 years old, dark hair tied neatly behind her head, clear grey eyes, the face I had once associated with home. My body remembered the basement before my heart remembered loving her. Claire looked at me. Then her gaze moved to Oliver. Recognition flooded her expression. She remembered too. Oliver lowered his eyes at exactly the right moment. Claire noticed the food bag in my hand. She looked at Oliver's empty hands. Give him half. I stopped. What? Your breakfast. Share it with him. Oliver gently touched her sleeve. It's all right. Ethan needs it more. He had eaten eggs, toast and porridge less than 30 minutes earlier. You already ate, I said. His eyes immediately became wet. Please don't make this difficult. Claire stepped between us. You humiliate him at home, and now you're doing it here. My mother prepared breakfast for both of us. I saw him looking at your food. People can look at food after eating. You expect me to believe your family fed him. Students had begun watching. In our previous life, I would have panicked. I would have tried to protect Claire's opinion of me. This time, I opened the family group chat. My mother had posted a photograph from breakfast. Oliver's full plate appeared beside a message. Oliver finished everything. Ethan is still refusing to leave his bed. I held up the screen. He ate. Claire's face changed. Oliver reacted first. I wasn't hungry, he said, softly. I was only wondering what it feels like when someone prepares something especially for you. The performance was almost elegant. He did not dispute the photograph. He replaced hunger with emotional deprivation. Claire's anger returned. Even if he ate, your mother packed a separate bag only for you. Because I overslept. Of course you always have an explanation. Facts often come with those. I placed the phone in my pocket and walked past her. Behind me, Oliver whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Don't be angry with him, Claire. Ethan becomes jealous when you speak to me. I did not turn around. My second life had begun, exactly where the first ended. Oliver created the wound. Claire volunteered to punish whoever he named. The difference was that I no longer wanted her love. The perfect victim. Oliver's greatest talent was allowing other people to complete his accusations. He never said my parents starved him. He stared at food with hidden longing. He never claimed his room was a storage cupboard. He mentioned that boxes occupied one corner and said he was grateful to have any space at all. He never directly accused me of hurting him. He rubbed his arm when my name was mentioned and became too frightened to explain. A direct lie could be disproved. An implication spread inside the listener's imagination. Claire had returned to the past believing Oliver was a victim. Every sigh became evidence. Every silence confirmed her memories. Every contradiction became proof that our family had learned to hide the abuse better. On the first day after our return, she skipped 2 lessons to take Oliver to breakfast. He posted a photograph online. A bowl of soup sat beside Claire's profile. The caption read, "Perhaps this looks like an ordinary meal, but when someone finally chooses to sit beside you, it can feel like the warmth you searched for your entire life." By lunch, everyone had seen it. Students stared at me. Some whispered that Claire had finally chosen a better cousin. Others asked whether Oliver had been deprived of food at home. I ignored them. At 17, school gossip feels permanent. After living into adulthood once, I knew most of those people would disappear from my life after graduation. Their opinions were temporary. My parents' survival was not. I began documenting everything. Not private moments, not bedrooms, only shared family spaces. Breakfast, dinner, the drive to school. My father offering Oliver tutoring. My mother asking what clothes he needed. Bank records showing equal school fees. Holiday photographs. Messages from teachers praising my parents' involvement. I hoped never to use the evidence. Oliver ensured that I had to. One afternoon, he and Claire found me near the main staircase. Several classmates were nearby. Oliver gripped Claire's sleeve. "Please don't argue with Ethan because of me." No one had been arguing. Claire looked at me coldly. "You should apologize." "For what? You know what you've done." "No, I don't." Oliver stepped backward. He checked the students around us. Then he allowed his foot to slip from the stair. He fell several steps. Claire screamed and rushed toward him. Then she turned to me. "How could you?" I was standing almost 4 meters away. "He didn't touch him," a student said. "Oliver fell by himself." Claire glared at them. "His family has money." "How much did they offer you?" I took out my phone. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Calling the police." Her face changed. "For what?" "You accused me of deliberately injuring someone." "Ethan, don't create a scene. You threatened legal action." I agree that the incident should be investigated. Oliver tried to sit up. "It was an accident. Please don't involve anyone." "Excellent." I looked at him. "The security footage will confirm that." Within an hour, the head teacher, a safeguarding officer, our parents, and 2 police officers were reviewing the recording. The video showed Oliver glancing behind himself before stepping backward. I never moved toward him. My father sat across from Oliver. "Why would you do that?" Oliver's face collapsed. I was frightened. "Of Ethan." Oliver nodded. My mother became pale. "Ethan and his parents are kind when people are watching," Oliver whispered. "But at home, I placed my phone on the table. For the past week, I've recorded our shared meals." My father looked at me. "Why?" "Because I knew this was coming." Claire's eyes narrowed. The recordings showed ordinary family life. Oliver eating the same meals. My parents discussing his education. My mother offering to replace his laptop. My father arranging counseling after Oliver admitted feeling anxious about examinations. I showed the safeguarding officer photographs of Oliver's bedroom, receipts from his school, and messages from teachers. Nothing supported his accusations. Claire crossed her arms. Abusive families can behave well when they know they're being recorded. I looked at her. "What evidence would satisfy you?" "Oliver's feelings are evidence." The safeguarding officer answered before I could. "His feelings matter. They are not proof that another person committed a specific act." Claire looked offended. Oliver leaned against her. Please don't punish anyone. I don't want Ethan to hate me more. My father closed his eyes. Something inside him broke that afternoon. Not because Oliver performed poorly in school. Not because he complained. Because the boy he had raised as a son was willing to accuse the entire family of cruelty. Oliver achieved what he wanted. Claire held him closer. But he also lost the only family he had left. Claire tried to rescue him again. The school recommended professional counseling. Oliver refused unless Claire attended every session. Claire claimed she was the only person he trusted. She told teachers that discipline would worsen his trauma. His lies became survival responses. His manipulation became a cry for help. His academic failures became evidence of emotional injury. Every consequence was transformed into persecution. Claire stopped preparing for university interviews. She skipped classes, spent evenings taking Oliver to cafes, parks, and riverside restaurants. She taught him how to enjoy life using lessons I had once taught her. Claire's childhood had been unstable. Her father disappeared after accumulating gambling debts. Her mother reacted to fear with anger. Claire grew up believing every mistake proved she was unworthy. When we were younger, I told her that one terrible hour did not have to become an entire terrible life. Go outside, I used to say. Eat something warm. Look at the sky. Let the day end before deciding your future. In our first life, those words helped her learn how to comfort people. In the second, she gave them to Oliver. They went boating, watched stars, photographed sunsets, ate beside the river. In my first life, seeing those photographs would have destroyed me. This time, I felt almost nothing, not emptiness, relief. Claire occasionally watched me across the classroom. She had expected me to chase her. The Ethan from our first life would have begged her to remember our relationship. He would have competed with Oliver, tried to prove that he loved her more. My indifference removed a story she expected. One afternoon, Claire blocked my path outside the administration building. You're following us. I'm collecting examination papers. You saw Oliver and me in the garden. I walked past you. She stepped closer. I don't like you, Ethan. That's useful information. I don't like you now, and I never will. Understood. If you have any dignity left, stop appearing around us. I almost laughed. In my first life, her rejection would have felt like death. Now I knew what dying beside her felt like. Teenage humiliation seemed manageable by comparison. Agreed, I said. Let's hope we never meet again. I walked away. Claire remained behind me, stunned. She had prepared for an argument. She did not know what to do with freedom. The examination Oliver needed her to fail. I studied as though my parents' lives depended on every page. Perhaps, emotionally, they did. I wanted a university far from Claire and Oliver. I wanted a career that did not depend on my family's reputation. Most of all, I wanted enough independence to move my parents before Claire's obsession could reach them again. My results exceeded those from my first life. I received an offer from Oxford. My mother opened the letter 3 times. My father cried in the kitchen, then denied it. When I entered, Claire should have received one of the highest scores in the country. Instead, she barely qualified for an ordinary regional university. Shortly before an important English examination, Oliver staged an emotional crisis. He called Claire and claimed he could not remain safe if she entered the examination hall without him. Claire ran to his location. School staff contacted trained responders. Oliver received appropriate care, but by the time Claire returned, a major portion of the examination had ended. Her score collapsed. At first, I could not understand why Oliver would sabotage the woman he claimed to love. Then the pattern became obvious. He was afraid Claire and I would attend elite universities in the same city. He needed her to choose him at the exact moment. That choice permanently damaged her future. It was not proof of love. It was a loyalty test paid for with someone else's life. Near the end of summer, Oliver returned to our home to collect his belongings. My parents had decided not to finance another private year of school. They offered therapy, vocational training, and support while he found work. Oliver rejected everything. He planned to move near Claire's university. I stood in his doorway while he packed. Was it worth it? His hands stopped. What? Making Claire miss the examination. The frightened expression disappeared. For the first time in our second life, I saw the Oliver from the journals. Proud, calculating, hungry to be chosen. Of course it was worth it. So you remember. He smiled. You do too. And Claire. She remembers enough. Oliver closed his suitcase. In the first life, I loved her 4 years. I filled 3 journals with everything I felt. And everything you invented. I wrote the truth. You wrote a version where every disappointment, became abuse. My parents died. Your family brought me into a house where I was always second. You had your own room, smaller than yours. You received the same education. You carried your father's name. He gave you that name too. But everyone knew you were his real son. He loved you, not as much as he loved you. The words exploded from him. For the first time, Oliver sounded honest. You had parents, money, grades, friends. Then you took Claire. I didn't take her. She chose you because you had everything. She chose me before either of us understood status. Oliver laughed. I knew that if I died, she would. Finally read the journals. My body became cold. You planned your death. I found a shop that grants impossible bargains. What did you give them? 10 years. 10 years of what? My natural life. He stepped closer. I asked for all three of us to return with our memories. You knew Claire would punish my family. They deserved it. For raising you. For choosing you first. You wanted something no family can promise. I looked directly at him. You wanted to become the only person who mattered. Oliver lifted his chin. I died for Claire. You can never compete with that. I almost pitied him. He had returned with the mind of a 19-year-old who believed love was measured by destruction. The more someone suffered, the more valuable the feeling became. Claire began loving you after you died, I said. His smile weakened. So, when you were alive, she barely noticed you. She was confused. She loved the tragedy. She loved me. She loved her guilt. Oliver stared at me. I continued. Death made you perfect because dead people never disappoint anyone. His face tightened. Now you're alive again. You're jealous. No. I looked at his suitcase. I'm warning you. You expect me to believe you. Don't want her. I would rather remain alone for the rest of my life than share another home with Claire. Oliver laughed. You'll regret giving her to me. No. I stepped aside. You'll regret believing she can belong to anyone. He left our home convinced he had won. For a while, Claire believed the same thing. Neither understood that a dramatic reunion is not the ending of a love story. It is the beginning of ordinary life. And ordinary life was the one thing their fantasy could not survive. The girl with the raspberry ice cream. University was difficult, exhausting, and wonderfully uneventful. I attended lectures, completed internships, spent nights in libraries, built friendships with people who knew nothing about Claire, Oliver, or my first life. For the first time, my existence did not feel like evidence in someone else's trial. During my second year, my mother introduced me to Mia Harrington. Her mother worked with mine. Mia studied architecture at a nearby university. She was energetic, outspoken, and incapable of entering a room quietly. During our first meeting, she examined my black coat. You dress like a detective whose wife disappeared under suspicious circumstances. I'm 19, a remarkably young detective. You're wearing yellow boots. They're cheerful. They can be seen from another country. She smiled. I liked her immediately. Not with the desperate intensity I once associated with Claire. Mia felt like sunlight entering a room without demanding that every shadow explain itself. Our first real date took place at a new amusement park outside London. Mia insisted on trying every ride. I agreed until I saw the largest roller coaster. You're frightened, she said. I'm evaluating the engineering. You study economics, structural concern crosses, academic boundaries. Mia left to buy ice cream while I waited near the queue. Several meters away, a couple began arguing. The man spoke rapidly. The woman looked exhausted. People gathered to watch. Then the woman walked away, leaned against a wall, and looked directly at me. Claire, Oliver remained near the ride, still shouting. They looked older, not happier. Claire's eyes moved across my coat. You still dress like that. I said nothing. In school, I told you this style suited you. I remember many things I wish I didn't. Her eyes filled. You haven't forgotten me. Before I could answer, Mia appeared and pushed up raspberry ice cream into my hand. I secured the final one. She leaned against my shoulder. You may praise me now. Claire froze. She looked at Mia, then at me. Who is she? Mia pointed toward herself. I'm his girlfriend. She looked down at our linked hands. Was that unclear? Claire's face became rigid. Mia glanced at me. Is she your friend? For 1 second, hope appeared in Claire's eyes. Years earlier, someone had asked whether Claire and I were merely friends. I had proudly announced that she was my fiancée. This time, I smiled. She was a classmate, not a friend. Not anymore. Claire looked as though the words had physically struck her. I guided Mia toward the ride. Behind us, Oliver called Claire's name. She did not answer. Later that evening, after I took Mia home, Claire waited outside my residence hall in the rain. Her coat and hair were soaked. The girl was hired, wasn't she? I stopped. What? You knew Oliver would post photographs from the park. Certainty brightened her eyes. You saw them. Found a girl and brought her too. Make me jealous. Mia is an architecture student. How much are you paying her? I laughed. Claire's expression changed. Thank you for your concern, I said. But life without you has been remarkably peaceful. You don't mean that. I do. You arrived at the same park. Thousands of people did. You wore the coat I complimented. It's winter. You're pretending. No. I stepped around her. Claire blocked my path. Oliver insisted on posting those photographs. I told him not to. That belongs to your relationship. He wanted your attention. He didn't receive it. She stared at me. Then her voice softened. You win. I wasn't competing. You made me realize I haven't forgotten you. My stomach turned. Claire believed that choosing Oliver and then choosing me transformed her indecision into romance. She never considered whether either man wished to become the object of her revelation. I'm calling campus security if you don't move. Her eyes widened. Ethan, move. She stepped aside. I walked away. Claire finally remembered what she had done. 4 weeks. Claire sent old belongings to me. Headphones I had once lent her. School notes. A photograph from a class trip. A birthday card I had written at 16. I discarded everything. Oliver found me after I threw away the final package. He looked thinner. His eyes were bloodshot. What did you do? Nothing. She won't speak to me. That isn't my responsibility. I died for her. You keep saying that as if death creates a contract. His hands trembled. She realized she loved me after I died. That is the problem. What does that mean? When you were alive, she treated you as background. Oliver flinched. After you died, she created a version of you that could never irritate, disappoint, or contradict her. She loved me. She loved a memory that accused her. His breathing became uneven. Your death created fireworks, I said. Bright, dramatic, and impossible to ignore. Oliver stared at me. But fireworks end. No. Yes. I looked directly at him. When ordinary mornings returned, what was supposed to keep the sky burning? Stop. Another crisis. Stop. Another sacrifice. His face twisted. You think she loves you? No, you're trying to steal her. I don't want her. You always win. His voice echoed through the corridor. I felt genuine sadness. You traded 10 years of your life for a woman who valued you only after you were gone. I walked past him. That isn't winning. Claire stood at the end of the corridor. She had heard everything. Did he threaten you? She asked. No. I ended the relationship. That is your decision. Her voice shook. I understand now. Do you? I confused pity with love. I almost admired how easily she reduced the first life. Pity had justified destroying my entire family. Now that the fantasy disappointed her, she renamed it and walked away. The person I truly loved was always you, she said. No, you protected me at school. That was another life. You waited outside the hospital when I was injured. Yes, you reported the professor who tried to remove my scholarship. Yes, you loved me 4 years. I did. Claire smiled through her tears. Then we can begin again. I smiled too. Hope flooded her face. Claire, my father was your mentor. Her smile disappeared. He recommended you for your first surgical position. I know, when a patient's relative threatened the medical team, my 60-year-old father stood between you and danger. Her face became white. My mother welcomed you into our family. Ethan, they trusted you. I was deceived. You chose deception because it allowed you to feel righteous. I read Oliver's journals. You never asked us one question. He described everything. So do novelists. She began crying. I was wrong. My father died trusting your hands. I know. My mother died believing your lies. I know. You kept me locked away while demanding that I confess 2 things I never did. Claire stepped toward me. I moved back. The distance hurt her more than shouting could have. I couldn't kill you, she whispered. Even then, some part of me loved you. Do not offer that as mercy. I can make it right. No. I'll care for your parents. You will never go near them. I'll spend my life proving. You already spent one life proving who you become. When guilt matters more than truth. She covered her mouth. Do not call them your parents, I said. You are not worthy of their trust. Claire's knees weakened. She held the wall. Ethan, please. This is the final conversation we will have. I love you. You love regret. That isn't true. You ignored Oliver while he was alive, worshipped him after he died, and discarded him when he became ordinary again. Her face crumpled. Now you are doing the same thing with me. No, you want me because I stopped wanting you. I stepped away. If you contact me again, approach my family or interfere with Mia, I will involve the police. Sunlight entered through the windows. For the first time since waking in my second life, I felt warm. My phone contained 11 missed calls from Mia. Her messages became increasingly dramatic. What do you want for dinner? I am waiting patiently. My patience has expired. Ethan Ward, where are you? Do not frighten me, or I'm reporting you missing and eating your dessert. I called her. Barbecue. You're alive, apparently. You owe me cake. Agreed. I left the building without looking back. Oliver's victorious letter. Claire stopped contacting me. Oliver did not. More than a year later, a letter arrived at my parents' former address. By then, I had persuaded them to sell the house and relocate. I told them enough to make them cautious, though not everything. The letter passed through several forwarding systems before reaching me in California, where I was completing a postgraduate fellowship. Oliver wrote with the pride of someone who believed he had defeated fate. He admitted everything. After failing his examinations in the first life, he discovered a hidden shop inside an Edinburgh alley. The owners claimed to govern bargains involving memory and time. Oliver offered 10 years of his natural lifespan for one impossible wish. He wanted himself, Claire and me returned to adolescence with our memories. Before his death, he sent Claire the journals. He knew guilt would consume her. He knew she would punish my family. He knew that after returning, she would believe loving him was her only path to redemption. His emotional crisis during Claire's examination had also been deliberate. He feared that Claire and I might attend elite universities in the same city, so he forced her to choose him at the precise moment that choice permanently damaged her future. At the end of the letter, he wrote, Claire knows everything now. She knows I arranged our second chance. She knows I sacrificed 10 years for her. She has agreed to marry me. You lost. I read the letter twice. Then I became afraid for him, not because Oliver was innocent, because Claire's agreement did not sound like forgiveness. It sounded like preparation. The woman who destroyed my family to avenge Oliver had discovered that Oliver manipulated her into doing it. He weaponized her guilt, cost her the future she wanted, separated her from me, then proudly confessed. Oliver believed marrying Claire proved that love had won. He did not recognize the shape of her revenge. By the time the letter reached me, they were already married. They told friends they were leaving on an extended honeymoon. There was no honeymoon. Weeks later, neighbors reported suspicious activity at their rented country property. Police entered and found Oliver confined inside a locked lower room. He was alive when emergency teams reached him. He later died in hospital from complications connected to prolonged neglect. The case dominated British news. A respected young doctor accused of secretly imprisoning her husband, a marriage built on shared trauma, journals, false allegations, manipulation, a supernatural explanation no court would accept. Claire was convicted of multiple serious offenses and received a sentence that meant she would likely spend the rest of her life in prison. She refused almost every interview. She requested one visitor, me, the woman behind the glass. Before visiting Claire, I found the hidden shop Oliver had described. It stood inside a narrow alley in Edinburgh. From the outside, it appeared to sell antique clocks. Inside, none of the clocks displayed the same time. The owners were Elias Gray and Mara Vorse. Elias looked barely 30. Mara looked younger. Their eyes looked ancient. Oliver came here, I said. Elias nodded. He wanted another life. You gave it to him. He paid time for time. Why include Claire and me? That was his wish. Mara placed a stopwatch on the counter. We do not decide whether wishes are wise. You allowed my family to suffer. We allowed choice, she replied. The suffering came from people. I hated the answer. It was also true. Before I left, Elias said, Claire believes death will reset the board again. Will it? No. Why not? Oliver possessed years he could surrender. Claire has no remaining balance. Mara continued. Some souls move forward. Others remain where the consequences of their choices hold them. Is that punishment? It is gravity. What will happen to her? That depends on what remains when every excuse is removed. 1 week later, I visited Claire. We sat on opposite sides of reinforced glass. She wore a prison uniform. Her hair had been cut short. The celebrated surgeon had disappeared. Beneath her face, I could still see the frightened schoolgirl I once loved. Claire lifted the telephone. Ethan. I did the same. She smiled. I helped you. No. Oliver caused everything. You chose everything. He lied about your family. You decided his journals mattered more than living people. He manipulated all three of us. And then you killed him. Her expression remained eerily calm. I punished him. You repeated the same crime. He destroyed our future. We had no future after what you did. Pain moved through her face. If Oliver had not interfered, we would still be together. No, we were happy. You were lying. In the first years, I loved you. Perhaps I still love you. You don't understand love. Claire pressed one hand against the glass. I know you won't forgive me. Then why did you ask to see me? I wanted you to know that I removed the person standing between us. I stared at her. Even after 2 lives, Claire believed love was a competition. One person wins, one loses. One obstacle disappears. Then happiness begins. I'm not waiting for you, I said. Her hand lowered. I know you're angry. I'm engaged. The color left her face. To Mia, yes. She doesn't know you the way I do. She knows who I am now. You belong with me. I never belonged to you. Tears entered Claire's eyes. It doesn't matter. When this life ends, we'll begin again. That is why I came. Hope returned to her face. I continued. Oliver had years remaining. He exchanged 10 of them for our second life. Yes, you have nothing to exchange. Her expression froze. What? I met the shopkeepers. The telephone trembled in her hand. They said you cannot make another bargain. They lied. No, I'll find another way. There is no third beginning. Claire stood suddenly. A guard moved closer. She ignored him. Ethan, don't say that. We will never meet again. We have to. No, you were mine in the first life. I was your victim. You loved me. I did. My voice remained calm. That does not create an eternal obligation. She began crying. I can change. Then change without expecting me as a reward. I can't remain here forever. Your legal sentence belongs to the court. I'm talking about what happens afterward. I remembered Moral's word. Gravity. Elias said some souls move forward. Claire leaned closer. And me. People who cause grave harm and refuse responsibility remain with the truth they tried to escape. No. Oliver received a second chance because he surrendered years that belonged to him. No. You spent your second chance destroying 2 families. Ethan, stop. You believed regret could become love. She struck the glass with her palm. Stop. You believed punishment could become justice. Please, you believed another person's death could purchase another beginning. Her voice broke. Don't leave me. For 1 second, I saw the 17-year-old girl I once protected, the young doctor my father believed in, the woman my mother embraced. I felt grief, but grief was not forgiveness. Pity was not a reason to reopen a door. We will not meet again, Claire. I placed the telephone down. Her screams could not pass through the reinforced glass. The guard moved toward her. I walked away, for the first time across 2 lives. She could not follow me. The life that finally belonged to me. Claire remained in prison. The supernatural details never entered the official record. Oliver's case became a warning discussed by psychologists and educators. A person's pain can be genuine, while their accusations remain false. Compassion does not require abandoning evidence. Threats of self-harm must be treated as emergencies, not romantic loyalty tests. Love is not measured by the amount of damage someone is willing to cause. My parents grew older. My father eventually retired from surgery and began teaching. My mother attempted retirement, became bored after 3 months and returned as a consultant. They never understood why I treasured ordinary breakfasts, why I photographed my father reading, why I called my mother during business trips when I had nothing important to say. They did not need to understand. They were alive. That was enough. Mia completed her architecture degree. She designed hospitals with wide windows because she believed frightened people deserved natural light. She never demanded that I prove my love by sacrificing something essential. When we disagreed, she did not threaten to disappear. When I became quiet, she asked whether I wanted space or company. Sometimes I chose space. Sometimes I chose her. Both answers were safe. We married in September beneath a glass roof, covered in rain. My father stood beside me. My mother cried before the ceremony began and denied it while holding a wet handkerchief. Mia wore yellow shoes beneath her wedding dress. You can see them from another country. I whispered. That's how you'll find me. I don't plan to lose you. She squeezed my hand. Good answer. During the reception, my phone displayed an automated news alert concerning Claire's failed appeal. I deleted it without opening the article. Mia noticed. Everything all right? Yes. Are you certain? I looked around the room. My parents were dancing badly. Friends were laughing. Rain moved gently across the roof. My second life was no longer defined by the first. Yes, I said. Everything is exactly where it should be. Oliver believed love began when someone died for it. Claire believed love gave her permission to punish anyone who threatened it. In their minds, suffering made emotion valuable. The more pain they created, the more important their relationship became. But sacrifice without consent is not romance. Guilt is not devotion. Possession is not loyalty. A person who repeatedly threatens destruction, whenever they fear losing you, is not proving that you are loved. They are proving that your freedom terrifies them. Oliver traded 10 years of his life to become the center of Claire's world. For a brief moment, he succeeded. Then he discovered that being remembered as perfect was easier than living as an ordinary partner. Claire destroyed my family to avenge him, then destroyed him, though discovering that his victimhood had been partly manufactured. Neither of them knew how to love a real person. They loved stories: the abandoned boy, the guilty girl, the cruel family, the stolen soulmate, the second chance. Every story needed a villain. In the first life, they chose me. In the second, they chose each other. I survived because I finally refused the role. A second chance does not always exist, so you can repair the same relationship. Sometimes it exists, so you can recognize the door that destroyed you and choose never to enter it again. This story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. It does not encourage violence, retaliation, confinement, harassment, medical misconduct, or treating threats of self-harm as romantic gestures. Anyone facing abuse, coercive control, or a mental health emergency should seek appropriate support from trusted people, qualified professionals, or local emergency services.